Okay, cool. All right. So today we're going to talk about the narrative modeling assignment. We're going to talk about They Always Call You Miss and the other student samples that you will use to kind of model They Always Call You Miss. I've included 2 student samples already. Can anybody tell me the title of either of those 2 student samples?
But with a smile.
That's, you know what? I've included 3. Yes, but with a smile. It's kind of that B level example, and the one that sort of inspired the assignment. But what are the 2 sort of knock it out of the park ones? Do you guys remember those titles?
They Always Want the Doctor.
Great. And of course, that's again an example of modeling even down to the title. So we're going to look at how that writer, that student writer in my class, sort of really modeled. And I know that this can, hey, there's Bree, but Bree was Bree just in here? Bree was just in here. I just admitted Bree to the room. And Bree is now joining. So They Always Want the Doctor. And what was the other one called?
They Always Want Lower Prices.
That's right. That's the Christmas tree one. Thank you so much, Ashley, for reading that one. I know it was a bit more reading this week than usual. We had the big guidelines. We had They Always Call You Miss. We had They Always Want the Doctor. And we had They Always Want Lower Prices. Now, I want folks to know that your titles don't necessarily need to, you don't have to model the title of They Always Call You Miss. Those students did. They ended up writing, I thought, really phenomenal papers. So before we talk about the student examples, let's just talk about They Always Call You Miss as an essay with an eye to, shoot, you know what I was going to do? I was going to show you guys the rhetorical triangle today. So I'm going to share my screen. Because every time I need to admit somebody. Every time we are presented with a writing assignment. Did somebody say something? There's Akira. Look, it's almost everybody, I think. That's wonderful. All right, well, welcome everybody. I was just saying we're going to be looking at purpose, audience, and author today. We're going to be looking at just basically talking about how to make progress on this narrative modeling assignment that I have. And the first move we're going to do is just to look at a little rhetorical device called the rhetorical triangle. And by the way, I don't usually use words like rhetorical in this class. There are some Writing 121 instructors that use pretty high-level academic language. Rhetorical just means sort of engaging in that communication, that act of communicating. And part of that act of communication always involves this thing that they call the rhetorical triangle, which is each point represents either your purpose, your audience, or sort of your own ethos. So, and some of you may have heard this as pathos, ethos, and logos. The logos means your message, which is what I use. I mean, message, audience, author. I just speak English because it is that kind of class. So I want to show everybody. I'm going to share my screen for 2 seconds. And participants can now see my screen, which means you see like 2 of me. What do you guys see when you see my screen? Because I know that I've got photo booth back there. Are you seeing like 2 Chris's or something? No, just the screen and the 1 Chris. Is that right? Why is it?
Yeah, I've just got the one Chris, and then the drop down on the side with all of our little video pictures.
Oh, that's great. So you can see here are the instructions that I followed. which may have cost me every single image and video in my photo booth. So you guys don't need to know that, but that's how I solve problems. Oh, you're a computer expert, Ryan. I should have asked you. Just kidding. Are you a Mac person or an Apple person or a Windows person?
I'm definitely more comfortable with Windows.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I stayed that way for a long time. And I actually got into to Linux for a long time, and then the opportunity for this was pretty cheap, so I did that. Kind of quick and easy way of just sharing with you guys that this notion of rhetorical triangle is ubiquitous. There's a big college level word. It means it's everywhere. Anyone teaching this this class uses this. Now, the one that caught my eye, this image, I like this image, the one that's handmade. You guys can see it in the upper right of my screen. Can you guys see that? You'll have to do voices because I can't see.
Yes.
Any. Oh, thank you. So they have purpose, and they say that like what they're trying to do is they put message in the middle of that, and I guess I kind of like that, but I usually sort of think purpose and message are about the same, so I give message its own point on the triangle. But I like the sort of synergy of thinking that the overlap of our purpose, which means what we're hoping the audience will do or believe. That's what purpose is. So anytime you sit down to write, you have one. And to be honest, I'll share with you the first time I get to admit another person. There's Mahogany. So I was a crazy undergrad. Allow me to just share with you when this particular triangle, and you guys can see all the other triangles, all of these triangles on my screen right now are obviously produced by people teaching this. You can see the traditional one there. It's ethos, pathos, logos, but they all mean the same thing: purpose, author, and audience. And each one is a guide for how we reach audiences with our message. And this concept that every time we sit down, we're sort of dealing with these things did not come to me. And I hope I don't sound creepy when I tell this little anecdote, but this is what you're paying the big money for, these anecdotes of me being creepy out there. I was not being creepy. It is not creepy. It's just very difficult to tell this story in 2022. You have to understand. I was an undergrad in the 80s before there was anything. All there were dinosaurs and big oily potholes that you could fall into and sink and die. I'm joking. It wasn't that bad, but it was a long time ago. And if you saw somebody and you were suddenly smitten, this is a story of being smitten. And I'm not kidding. I'm talking full-on love at first sight. I will die if I don't talk to this person. It was like the craziest thing. And I'll describe it to you because I was driving up. I went to Sonoma State and I had paused, as was my habit, to go visit friends in Berkeley before I went all the way back up. It must have been second or third year as an English major. And I'm done with my friends, and I need to get up and see if I've got a room. It was that sort of like, we didn't have email. All we would have done is said, would have talked on the phone 3 days earlier. Tom, just make sure to reserve a room in that big gross house again. Okay, bye. So, and you never knew anything. So I came from a time where you had to be very, very comfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty. And of course, anyway, so if this sounds #MeTooE, please forgive me. It turns out to not have been, but I will just say that I had to park on a street, and obviously, and there were meters on this street in Berkeley, and I was leaving, and as I was about to start my car, the door of a church opened. Now, the door was 20 feet tall. It's like a beautiful sort of, turn of the century. We're talking like 1890s church. It's beautiful, ornate, kind of Gothic style church with this tall door and these beautiful spires. And it obviously that caught my eye. But then what really caught my eye was this beautiful dancer who walked out in a flowing red. It was like everything was silk. She was covered head to toe in silk, and her hair just blew behind her, as did the train, I guess, of this dance. You know, she was clearly in a dance production. Obviously, the church had been repurposed. There were probably no pews. It was like a big dance area. Who knew? But her dress trailed behind her, you know, like skywriting. It just trailed behind her like the tail of a beautiful jellyfish or whatever. I was mesmerized and, of course, smitten. And I realized I have a son who is 20 years old, and apparently it's very uncool to think somebody's pretty nowadays or something, but I can't tell you how much I get, I'm shamed. I get boomer shamed or whatever for even, you know, saying anything like this. And anyway, I was smitten. She has in her left hand a quarter, and in her right hand, she dances all the way down these steps, all the way down this walk to the parking meter directly in front of where I am. And then she just in one move, like she's done this 100 times, swings around it. The train wraps around the parking meter, and she pops that quarter in, glances at me. Does she smile? That's the way I want to remember it, but I doubt it. I think she just was like, oh, there's a dude sitting there. And then she was gone. She ran back into she danced. She just flowed away. Now, I know that this will probably seem weird, but I don't know. I was a college student. I was comfortable with talking to people. I knew I'd had to go. So this was my Hail Mary pass. And this has to do with purpose, audience, and author, because I knew that even in the 80s, a fellow leaving a note on a girl's windshield was going to seem weird. So I had to be super careful. And I said, and I can't quote the whole thing, but I knew I had to not be weird, but I just said, we briefly caught what I thought was eye contact there, and I was the person sitting in the car behind yours as your train flowed behind you. It was one of the most elegant and graceful moments I have ever witnessed in my entire life. This is my phone number. It was a landline, obviously. I knew which rickety old house I was going to stay at. And I'm gone. I'm 100 miles away, you know, just to like not be #MeToo. We didn't have that phrase, trust me, but I knew that my author side of that communication needed to be straight up. It needed to be honest. It needed to be sincere. That's the author side. That's how I was presenting myself. And I needed to make my purpose very clear to an audience that would probably be not receptive to, nobody wants to be like, oh my God, somebody saw me. I knew that wasn't cool. It wasn't cool. And yet, I still did this. I did it on the back of a receipt. I had bought groceries. That's the only piece of paper that I had. It was a big, long receipt, and I wrote the whole thing out. I put it there. Sadly, my new friend probably would think it was a ticket, which is sad also and regrettable. But I'll tell you, I didn't hear for a week. I didn't hear. And this is how fast things happen in college. Back in the olden days, maybe I didn't hear for 2 weeks, because that sounds even too fast. It would have had to be 2 weeks, because I met my wife, the actual wife, who is like 25 feet away from me right now. I didn't know she was my wife. She was just like, I was doubly smitten. I guess let us just say I was in a stage of smittenosity, where apparently my head could be turned pretty easily, but I had started dating by the time, maybe it was 2.5 weeks later, that my phone rang, and I had literally already started dating the person that would end up being my wife, and we've been together for 34 years. But I pick up the phone, and I say, hi, She says, "I'm the girl in the red dress." I said, "Oh my gosh, I can't tell you what a super, super duper honor it is to get this phone call." I was completely sincere at that moment, but I have to say, and you don't, it's just awkward. I've met somebody and I can't even entertain this conversation for 1 minute. I gotta go. And I hung up. That was the noble damn thing to do because I remembered my weakness at that time. But I hope that silly story sort of drives home what all of these message, audience, and author things sort of are trying to drive home. And just gonna snap back. All right, so I share all of that for 19 minutes because it is a very important concept. I'm going to stop my share and ask you, now that we've talked about message, audience, and author, now that you have a sense for how it works in any situation, when you think back to "They Always Call You Miss," I'll just sort of write the triangle right there. Let's talk about her purpose and message. And to be honest, I can be educated. I think that by the way, that rhetorical triangle goes all the way back to Aristotle, and the one improvement that somebody's done is to put message in the middle. That's all. It's only been, 5,000 years. Why? So, and one of the ways to analyze a work is to ask ourselves, why did this writer sit down to write this? And then you follow that question with, who is this writer trying to get to do what? Wait, I'm sorry, I have to say hi to Summer Spindler. Hello, Summer Spindler! Good to see you.
Hello.
Hello, good.
I'm sorry I was late.
Not a problem. Did everybody hear that question? So let's say, why does Allison Clement sit down to write "They Always Call You Miss"?
I feel like it's targeted towards towards customers to offer insight into just how much the waitresses do.
That is beautiful. Absolutely. Hey, do you guys mind if I just take one screenshot and use it in an instructional video? If anybody minds, I won't do this. Cool. Are we cool? Thank you so much. Awesome. Great. It's just, I don't know. I'm trying to build that online class to be as interactive and as cool, and to let them know what we do here. I invited everybody. That did not work. Ryan, great. She wants people to know how hard they work. That's certainly one way to say it. There are others. Does anybody else have even more? Because I think that yes, and I think that we're looking at a real yes and from Allison Clement. It's that and more. What else?
And maybe like how people change. Like in one of the paragraphs, she says, sometimes perfectly nice people undergo a personality change when they enter a restaurant. It's a bad thing to see.
Pierce, insight, good. So she's not only doing a narrative, she's doing this kind of narrative with insight, and I think that is what makes "They Always Call the Doctor" student example really strong. But trust me, you guys can do great with just a really rich narrative, but when you offer these kinds of insights about whatever environment you'll be writing about, that's great. So I just wanted to say, please include that. And Pierce, she is, in addition to saying she and I, just so that I'll reflect back to you what I've heard, Ryan said Allison Clement wants people to know how hard waitresses work or wait people work, and Pierce says she wants to remind customers that they can go through a super negative personality change. Is that what you just said? And yeah, and all of this in the hope that her customers, or the customers of folks of other wait staff, might do what? we're so right on the edge. I mean, it's those two and one more thing. And this is analysis. So just to say, later in the class, we have an analysis paper. It's hard. Analysis is a process of asking questions and just digging a little deeper. Just digging a little bit deeper. There's a so that quality. So yes to what Ryan said, yes to what Pierce said, and this next one is kind of like she does those things so that her customers will what?
I think she like mostly wants people to be more thoughtful, I would say. I think that's like the main thing, because she's not really like, there's no like call to action to like be a better customer. It's just kind of stating like, this is what happens, this is why it sucks, and like I would do it differently. So I think it's more like that.
She literally, there is a paragraph. If I was a French tourist, I would. I can't, or if I'm sorry, it's not the French part, it's the any part. If I was on a vacation at the coast, I wouldn't complain about the bread. I would, look out. That's such a great reference to a very specific part of They Always Call You Miss. Beautiful, Alexandra. And yes, true. She's hoping that her customers and customers all over will be more thoughtful. And now this is one of my favorite parts of, this is why, I like synchronous. I really like face-to-face teaching. I like watching people's light bulbs come on, and this is one of these. Did anybody have a light bulb come on? I'm going to ask a really broad, general question. Did anybody have like a light bulb come on, or did anybody have kind of like a momentary regret about the way that they've behaved in a restaurant ever in their lives? We are being recorded, so you're probably super reticent.
Treat people the way that you want to be treated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But okay, so I'm going to be the one to record for posterity. Oh God, I can't do it. Yes, I can. I was young and stupid and in high school and probably not in my right mind, which is a way to refer to how we are not in our right mind sometimes voluntarily after a great deal of effort. And my buddies and I are at a coffee shop. How many people have heard of this like idiot move that dumb people make? Sorry, I'm talking about myself. Where you unscrew the salt. Oh God.
I've heard of that one.
I know. It makes a mess. It wrecks a meal for someone. It is hysterical. No, I'm just joking. But when you're a dumb 10th grader, it's hysterical. Jennifer.
I did that once with my sister when I was like 9 and she was 11. And so my grandma, when I went to her house the next day, did that to us. So I ended up eating a tablespoon of salt.
Oh,
and that
no.
very quickly stopped me from doing that to people at restaurants.
They forced you to eat a whole tablespoon of salt.
She did that to her food. Like she did the cap thing, and then my sister went for the pepper, I went for the salt first, and we did that to our own food, and then she was like, "You're still going to eat that."
Ooh.
And so she made us eat it.
Oh boy.
And that's what having a Mexican grandma's like. They always make sure that you get what you deserve.
Consequences. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Sometimes it's consequences that bring about psychic change. So how did we get there? So we got there because we were thinking about the purpose and the message of this. And my true hope for you as you write your pieces, and we're going to get there, is that you will write with a purpose in mind. And before I started to do this narrative modeling assignment, this literal essay, the one that the actual assignment guidelines that were responded to by my hero, whose name is actually on that, They Always Call You Miss, I forget. It was like 15 years ago, 16, 17, came out in 2005, that They Always Call You Miss. The first time I read They Always Call You Miss, I saw it as such crisp narrative. I thought, I can turn people into writers. That's what I thought. I read this. I said, that description is so beautiful. The sentences are so simple. It is so clear. The transitions are fantastic. That's when I started to use it. But I didn't have the modeling part of this assignment because I'd never seen a model. I'd never seen anything like that. The first time when I was asked to write my first, sort of writing 121 essay. The class was not numbered that. It was probably English 101 or something like that. But we were asked to read George Orwell's To Shoot an Elephant, which is a super incredible essay. But I was 18 and barely understood it. And that was my example. And, tra-la-la, writing a narrative essay. I had no idea. So I hope that that this essay has been accessible. So let's just look at. So I'm going to ask one question. It's 10:29, and we figured that out. Now I will say, by the way, that They Always Call You Miss goes a little deeper. Okay, and to be honest, your conclusion, your essay doesn't, I think, need to be as long as that essay. You don't, there's all kinds of things happening there. And I love what Alexandra said about the persuasive nature of this essay. It doesn't rely on an appeal to action. So therefore, treat people nice. It doesn't rely on anything like that. It sort of throws out these ideas and creates kind of a change in our sentiments, in our hearts. And I think that half of that essay would do as well. But the essay also has this kind of richer, deeper piece when at the end of it, it's almost like to underscore some of the importance of the job. And we don't necessarily need to go as deep as when Alison Clement describes, what is it? There's two old people, and one of them says, "I love to watch her eat." His wife of a million years. Does anyone remember that line?
Yeah, that was right at the end, and I found it strange that like she went from kind of ragging on all these awful customers to giving the perfect example. I'm not strange, I guess, but like. It took it in a different direction, right? And it kind of, like, once she finally got to this couple, I wasn't ready for it to end right there. I was like, well, we're here with the perfect ones. Like, talk a little bit more about them.
She's a novelist, and if you search her books at Amazon, you'll find a few novels by Alison Clement if you're not done with her. Because, that's, that would be like a bonus to get somebody into her novels, too. But yeah, no, it really is such a rich, that's professional level. So we're not there. An A is achievable in this class by everyone. So we don't need to be, like that level. And I do want to say, though, that I think part of the power of this, she wanted to tone down that anger. It is a bit bitter. And I'm surprised that a student hasn't said, I didn't like the essay because she's such a bitter person. I started to teach this essay in Oregon. Not that everybody in Utah is bitter, but they accept bitterness. I'll tell you, they kind of like it. They get inspired by bitterness. Usually, there's one person in the room who's like, I don't like that person. They're way too judgmental and bitter. Anybody feeling that? Go ahead. It's Oregon. We're nice. We're polite.
Well, I mean, that's what we're all thinking, anyways, right? That can be like determined as passion instead of like.
And what you mean by that is that if we were waiters, we might well think those thoughts.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I am a waitress, and I felt very validated.
Yay!
I was reading it, and I was like, okay, like, you're kind of going on for, like, a while, like, a little dramatic, but, like, every point I was like, yeah, girl, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I love it. Yeah. So, and I think I have actually had photocopies, and I sometimes, in addition to my fat money tip, I leave that because I just feel like every waitress in the world should see a copy of it. You can, by the way, print out that PDF. Nobody minds. So 1033, and we've talked about They Always Call You Miss. I was just going to say that my student that sort of inspired me on this modeling thing, who did the first model, which is But With a Smile, it's just all anger. It's all snideness and anger. For those of us that have, and by the way, I was happy with it. I was like, wow, this is unique and interesting, obviously inspired, and clearly this person needs a different job. She doesn't like to be asked questions. I think an Oregonian in the position of kind of being at a kiosk working for a transportation company would probably kindly answer everybody's questions and I'm not, by the way, being critical. I love Oregon, and I love we are the nicest people in the world. Do you know that I was looking at a forum discussion about America, and most forum discussions about America now can turn kind of negative. But somebody asked this broad question about America at a forum, which is populated by people from all over the world. And they wrote, immigrants to America, what surprised you the most about moving to America? And 10 replies, at least. And these are like super upvoted, which means that just in the same way Alexandra would upvote this, as true, Now I've kind of probably given away the source of these. I don't like to admit that I look at this, but okay, it's Ask Reddit. Anyway, that's the sub. It's Ask Reddit, and somebody wrote, and you guys could probably find this. I think the title of it was to the immigrants or something. What surprised you the most about moving to America? And the thing that surprised people the most, 10 of them with super fat upvotes, 5K, et cetera, was the way people talk to anybody anywhere. You will be talked to by perfect strangers under any circumstance. And we take it for granted that we will talk to somebody. Hey, how are those tomatoes? I don't know. I mean, just Americans do this. So I have captured for posterity one of my attention deficit disorder moments. How did I get here? Does anybody remember? I may delete it. Oh, I can't hear you. Are you talking, Ryan?
Oh, I was just talking to myself because it was Oregon is polite, and then.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Good. You got the train. Thank you. It just has to do with. Thank you. Good. That this assignment invites you to express a little bit of dismay about things. In fact, it inspired. Let me see if I can find this really quick. So here's an example that's not in our set of examples. It is, I'm giving you another student example, which I hope to actually put up. Where's Chrome? It must not be open or even available. Okay, 9:36. Listen, I'm going to ask a question, and you guys get to chat, which is, because I do want to bring this up, but so having looked at the emergency room one, the Christmas tree one, and the example. So who has some? As a matter of fact, would you guys start putting your thesis, a possible thesis? You don't have to be married to this thesis, but let's identify the thesis of "They Always Call You Miss," and that's that first line. And that first line is, "There's more to being a waitress than most people know." I can't remember exactly it, but that tends to be sort of the structure of the thesis. The thesis for this paper. Would you guys type into the chat the theses that you guys are doing? And I'm going to go and quickly show you sort of. I think that the example I'm about to share with you is strong, maybe not so much for the writing, but for the engagement. And the writing is good. It's actually quite good. I wouldn't have fished it out from the past. It left an impression with me. This was a student who did end up having to revise. So this draft is revised and strong and from the past term. Could somebody read their? Oh, look. That's not that. Could somebody read their thesis while I'm madly finding what I'm looking for? Like a new thesis, like just okay, or just talk about what you might write about for this assignment.
I might write about how there's more to being an adult returning to school than most people understand. Because I've been out of school for 10 years, and I feel like a lot of people, there's more to it. That's all I'll say right now.
Do you know, you look so much younger than I've been out of school for 10 years. You don't look 28. Are you 28 or what?
Yeah, I'm 26, but I got out a little early.
Oh, okay. There is more to it. Returning students face it totally differently. Yeah. What sort of examples can you think of as because you can tell that They Always Call You Miss is built on, you could literally, if you print out that essay, if you print out the essay, you can mark it up and you can look at every single, we could probably even name them off the top of our head, but the essay is built on a list of examples, and almost each paragraph for much of the essay is a different one. So let's actually just all of us right now, before I read you this interesting paragraph from this other example that I didn't, immortalize by putting in the Moodle, but does come to me because it has verve and attitude. If not the most strong writing, but it can still get a very good grade in the class just because it's like for real, the examples. So the examples that we know, like one of the ones that touches me the same way that Alexandria remembered that line. One of the things that sticks out to me is, and this is a cringe moment for me because she says, and everybody wants you to read back the salad dressings despite that you've just read them to the person on their left. I have never asked to know what salad dressings anybody has after that. I was so mortified. So that's one of those kind of, just one feature of this essay. Can anybody think of some other things that she mentions?
I was kind of shocked at the end when the two dishwashers were dragged out at the end and all the people could think about was what they wanted to. It reminded me of our situation right now because I've worked through the entire pandemic, and I'm like, okay, there's like no one here to work, and you're complaining about how we don't have this right now. I really connected with that part. Yeah,
thank you, and what a brave moment to put into that essay too. That's just so beautiful. Who else has a moment from They Always Call You Miss that sort of just reminds us that we're going to really analyze whatever situation that we're going to face? Like somebody did, there's more to working in a movie theater. I didn't even realize how much gross stuff goes on. Since people deal with really gross stuff in movie theaters, they had like a list of 10 really super gross things, and only 4 of them were from bathrooms. So what else from They Always Call You Miss, though, jumps out at you?
I liked when she mentioned how the people don't look up at this beautiful ocean view they have.
Thank you.
It jumped out at me because, like, when I go on a dinner date, like with my wife, I keep the phone at home or I keep it in the car, right? Because I do feel like a lot of people don't connect with the person that they're on a date with. Like, they spend a lot of time on their phone, even sitting there at dinner. And so when she talked about how there's this beautiful ocean view that they're not seeing, that stuck with me.
Yeah. No, great example. And also, just not neither here nor there, but even though that essay was published in 2005, that's 3 years before smartphones, although there were cell phones. I don't know when it was written, but you'll notice there's no mention of technology. And I don't think a waitress could write an essay about what it's like to be waiting without mentioning, like, just people being rude with their technology. I'm starting to see signs at, like, the post office, like, put your phone down and talk to me. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. Notice the view. How about that? Yeah. So here's an opening from a student from last term who gave me permission to share this, actually. And, oh, dudes, there's another one, too. Oh man, it just reminded me of a guy in a different class. Sorry, as I started to look at this one. This one's called Berry Farm. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see this. Participants can now see your screen. Good. All right. There's more to working in a berry farm than one might think. It takes dedication, for one thing, to get up every day, tired of the work and beaten down by the supervisors and Stallbush Island Farm's uncompromising drive for money. As the people arrive in the morning, angry, worn down with dirty clothes for work, they look around anxious for the day to come. And you know what? I did not hit him with the anxiously, the adverb right there. Although I would like to see you guys using adverbs where they are, but not really a problem because I can feel that this student writer has really connected to the topic. They look around anxiously for the day to come, they look around, anxious for the day to come. There's something going on there. Getting ready to digest the pain that comes with working in the dirt, in the sun. We get onto our machines, our fields, our jobs, and fill a position that many are unwilling to fill. The tractor job is the hardest and the dirtiest. And this really gives us just a way, like your transitions in this one. You start off your introductory paragraph, your introduction is about a field, like in this case, it's work. So the word job moves us forward. That's literally the transition. I'm just going to move forward. We've only got 5 more minutes. The tractor job is the hardest and the dirtiest. The seats of the tractor we use to plow the fields are dirty. We lay our sweaters on the seat to avoid the heat from the sun. No one wants to sit on a seat baking under the sun like an egg on the concrete, taking wind-blown chemical dust into their faces. What this assignment brings out in young college writers, it blows my mind. And I can't see the bottom. Would somebody else read the next lines? Because you guys, there's 3 faces that are blocking here. Could somebody else grab that for me? It's when I sit.
When I sit in the bus early in the morning in the front seats because people who came earlier than me, a terrible sensation fills my stomach as I see the supervisor enter through the bus entrance. I listen to her speak and she says, "We need someone plowing the fields." I look around to see if there are any other volunteers. There never are. I always sit at the front, alone or with my brother, the bus full of people. Me and my brother were the people that would get chosen consistently more than anyone else on the bus because of this.
All right. So that's just two paragraphs from, really unexpected, I didn't know. You know what I mean? And is that, does it matter? The topic that you choose, should it be interesting? It should be. This is, again, that's part of that rhetorical triangle. That's how you reach your audience. You tell something rare and something real, or you tell something common in a rare way, or details about something common. Like there was a great one I told you. Well, everybody knows what waitressing is, and yet we were transported by Allison Clements. I was transported by one that was about, I go to movie theaters all the time. And I learned a ton of things about movie theaters. So what this assignment invites us to do, I want to see who, let's just end the class for the last 3 minutes looking at your guys' possible thesis. Our first draft is going to be due on Monday, next Monday. So today's Wednesday. We'll have a first draft due in class on Monday. That will give you time to take your draft to the writing center and just bring them a pile of, whatever, a wreck. Bring them a train wreck. Write out a train wreck first. You guys, are you following me on that? I'm not asking for perfection on Monday. Our final draft is due Wednesday at midnight, and I would like your paper to be in the best shape to evaluate. Here is some, Summer says, that's not one. Ryan says there's more to being an adult, returning to college than most people understand. There's more to being an adopted child. Thank you, Summer. Yes, sirree, bub. I'd love that one. Thank you. Ashley says there's more to being an only child. Yes, sirree, bub. So, and if it feels like I do kind of an executive producer thing, I do a little bit. So I'm tell one story. Oh gosh, I'm really going to go over 2 minutes. Don't hate me. Do you promise not to hate me? Let me hear it vocally. No, Riley, we long for your 2 minutes.
I don't hate you.
Uh-oh. Oh, thank you, Logan, because you were shaking your head. No, you don't hate me. Okay, good. I had a class. I may have shared this last time, but the kid said, like, I don't know whether to write about the chess club, my experience with the chess club, or the time that my crotch caught on fire at school. And I went, oh, I'll just ask you guys, which essay do you want to read more? Everybody unmute and shout it out. Go ahead.
Crotch on fire.
Thanks, Pierce. You were the only brave one. Yeah, that was a great story. A mother, there's more to your crotch catching on fire. Yeah, I guess there is. A mother holds more of the world on her shoulders than son. I love that. Who is that? That's Mahogany. So it was yes, Mahogany. And notice that Mahogany in her modeling, she's already making it her own. So I want you all to make it your own like that. That's beautiful. Love that. There's more to being an essential worker. Thank you. Can we get more specific, Layla?
About
so essential worker can be like 10 bazillion things. So my job is yeah.
Well, that's like the label they chose to put on the people who kept working through the pandemic.
Well, so there's more. How about there's more? So where do you work? If I can ask, I'll just help you with your thesis.
I was a manager at Petco for 3 years.
I'm the worst person at Petco, and I need to make an amends to you. I am the worst. I hold Petco up to higher standards than they can accomplish, and they disappoint me every day. No, no, I'm just kidding. But there's more to being a manager at Petco during a pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. So
that was just like on the fly because I realized I didn't even think about it, but I knew I was going to write about working during COVID. Because it makes me so mad. Oh. It has made me so angry.
Yay. And I'm not, everybody doesn't have to be angry. Anger welcome. So just bring it. I think people are interested in how other people are experiencing all this time. Let's see. I don't think mine is appropriate. Uh-oh. This is going to be fun. There is Jennifer. Jennifer. What? We got to talk. Stick around. Okay, I'm just kidding, but you know that I have some experience with this myself. Did I mention my sister and all that, blah, blah, blah? Okay, good. Well, let's just, trust me, I know some of the other side of that. There's more to having a concern. That is so sweet, Hannah. Talk to me about that. How is there more? I'm sorry, I'm the worst. I'm keeping everybody. Don't hate me. Hannah, talk to me. What are some of these features?
He usually comes home mad, so everyone avoids him. Mm-hmm. And a couple months ago, he got in 2 car wrecks going to work.
Hannah, that's such an interesting. I want to greenlight that totally. I am curious. I just hope you'll, part of our work moving forward will be to list those examples. Just make a list so that you'll have something that you could work on and develop into paragraphs. That blows my mind, though, and. Maybe we'll talk more about it in an office hour or something like that, because there could be even more going on. You know what I mean? So that's nice. Pierce writes, slinging bags for the man, cross country. Is Pierce still here? There you are.
Yeah, Pierce is still here.
Try to put it in the format, would you?
Yeah, okay.
No, but so that I can hear it. Just say it like there's more to slinging bags for the man across country. What does that mean?
So I moved from North Carolina to here, and the first job I had was slinging seed bags. And it's basically just talking about my transfer of life on the East Coast to here and having to deal with working, no friends, all that stuff.
Okay, so it's an agricultural job like the berry farm. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay, well, there may not be room in this essay for like the personal story of transformation that is moving and the berry farm. They might not all fit in the same one. So I don't know. I'll see a first draft, okay?
Okay.
Let's see. But again, an essay is really laser focused on like a single thing. So I'm not seeing it perfectly to be the transition story too, although I can be wrong. I don't think. Oh, do we really have Martin Luther? That is true. So thank you, Mitchell. And I need to check a calendar clearly. Where's Mitchell so I can thank him in person? Thank you, Mitchell. So it's just theoretical, this whole come to class. But there probably won't be a Zoom on a Martin Luther King Day. So generally speaking, so make sure to try to have that done so you can visit the Writing Center on Tuesday. We'll look at your first paragraphs on Wednesday in class. Does that sound cool? And 7 days from now. Cool. Well, a few people were able to share. Can I see hands of people who feel inspired and you know which direction you're going to take? Or that you feel that a direction will come to you? Anybody who wants to hang out for the office hour, please do. I'm going to stop my recording here. You guys were super patient and kind to let me do that. Look, I talked for 50